this slide right here kind of lays everything out as far as who I am. And as you see, I try to put the key information on here just so people know who I am as an individual. I mean, this is my background. I mean, so I'm a Brooklyn bred, born guy. My parents are actually immigrants to this country, so I'm the first out of my family to be born in the United States. You know, some of my hobbies out there, as you see my motorcycle. I like to ride. The weather's beautiful out here for me to ride and get out on. I definitely love mentoring youth, especially I do a lot of children's mentoring, and I'm part of a lot of different programs, from Big Brothers Big Sister to stuff with my church, to the Ruby Tucker. The picture that you see there is from the Ruby Tucker Readers Group, which is a bunch of lower class, not lower class, but some kids in from the lower economy housing complexes that I go out there every so often, and I'll sit down and read and be with them and spend time with them. Some of the key things that also define me, I mean, like my quote, one of my favorite quotes is, the ultimate measure of a man, as you can see there, is not where he stands in moments of convenience and comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And I believe that, because if you're not challenged, and if you don't run into controversy, you're not going to grow. Because if you continue to stay in your comfort zone, it definitely is not a good thing. So I'm sorry about that. Some of the other things I want to highlight on here is like my goals. These are my goals in life that I've set, and my goals are moving targets. I mean, the reason why I say they're moving targets, because once I achieve them, I drop another one on there, or I may shift one back. So these are my simple goals that I like, that I want to accomplish within the next 3 to 5 years. Values. These are what I hold tightly and dearly. Some of this stuff may resonate with some of you, definitely. So you can kind of see where I'm going with that. Let me slide and talk about education a little bit. Education is key. Some people don't feel like it's key to their success, but I believe it's key to my success. The reason why I say that is because the education that I've gotten, not only with my PMEs, as you can see, I've completed all my PMEs, and I did that at an early date. And I tell anybody that, I'm sorry, it's key to my success. The reason why I say that is, I think we're getting feedback. Oh, there we go. So the reason why I think I say education is key is because I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback from somebody. There we go. Is because I always try to make sure that I not only do I have my civilian education, but I also have my PME, and then anything else that I need to throw in there that'll help me continue to be a success. So for those of you that always think that, hey, I don't need to worry about advanced course, I don't need to worry about senior education, the senior education course, I beg to differ. The reason why is because I don't take it as far as just me learning education, but I also take it as far as me being able to connect with others, being able to sync with others of my peers and my seniors, so I can see how can I make myself better, because I'm always doing a self-evaluation, trying to make myself better, not only for the Army, but as an individual. So that's how I always look at it. So as you can see under my education, there's 2 additional courses that I would definitely suggest a couple of you write down, which is the Continuing Education for Senior Leaders and the How the Army Runs course, because that kind of gives you a different view on different things. So definitely.
I think you got muted, Chief McCoy.
Can you hear me?
Stand by for a second. Yeah, Roger, Chief.
Yeah, so sorry. Sometimes we have as you know, when right in the middle of when you're doing stuff, they turn around and they give you some challenges. So we had some updates going on. So please bear with me. So if you go to slide 2, Louis.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to share now again, Chief.
Turn that down a little bit.
So there you go, slide 2. So this is the NETCOM structure and what NETCOM looks like. These are all the subordinate units across the board. So I just wanted to kind of bring this slide to your attention just so you understand the span of what NETCOM manages and controls. I'm not going to harp on this slide too much, but just to give you a bird's eye view of what falls on the NETCOM. All right, go to slide 3, please. All right, slide 3. Where have I been? How did I get where I am now? So if you could take a look at this, this kind of lays out all of my assignments. This kind of lays out all my assignments across the board from, and as you can see, the diversity in all of my assignments. So I'll definitely tell you, how did I get to where I am? One of the key things is definitely to be present. And you got to see what the squad platoons in the field need and make sure that you evaluate how those soldiers and customers are using the services that you deliver. That's one of the key things as I navigated in each one of these assignments. I walked around and I was definitely talking to our customers because you want to make sure not only the services that you're providing are being provided well, but you want to identify some key things that you can make better. And doing that allowed me to be definitely more of a success in my two of my previous jobs, which is one was at WACA, where I interacted with a lot of the White House staff, the executive office of the president and so forth. And then as well as in SecDef Comms, where I, interacted with the SecDef himself, the deputy SecDef and their front office staff. And it also definitely identified key things that I when I walked around, I was like, what could I do? What could I make better for the team? So this is definitely one of the things. So, and what was my path as I navigated from W1 to CW5? So, my first assignment was down at first Cavalry Division as a W1. As a W1, one of the things that I had challenges with was the transition from being an NCO to a warrant officer, and I had that challenge because I still had NCO mindset in there, but I had a great NCO, Sergeant First Class William Crockett. I remember this day specifically. I walked into the office after being there for about a good 3 to 5 months, and on my desk, and I'm OCD, so I typically clean my desk before I leave. I don't like papers all over the place. But in the middle of my desk, there was an NCO journal, and some of you may remember that old NCO journal. The reason why he put it on my desk is to tell me, say, Chief, you're a warrant officer now. You're no longer an NCO. You don't need to handle a lot of NCO business. And that was a reminder. And he didn't do it to throw shade at me. He didn't do it to be facetious or anything like that. He did it because he wanted me to make sure that I knew that, hey, he is there for me as my senior NCO and to handle all NCO things. And I am there to be the warrant officer, and together we're a team together. So that's what that was definitely about. So it was a great assignment, and from there I moved on to 10th Support Group out in Okinawa, Japan. That was a great assignment. But the challenges that I would share with you that I had there was not only was it something new to me, but also
Hey, stand by. I think Chief got cut off for a second.
There we go. No, I'm here. You got me?
Oh, the Chief, loud and clear.
All right, sorry. So not only did I have challenges with working in the ComSec vault because that was something new to me, but also I was comparing myself to a lot of my peers. And as I compared myself to a lot of my peers, they were working and doing various other things that I wasn't doing. So that was definitely new to me. And I had to battle that. I had to say, hey, though my peers are doing other things that I felt that I should be doing, I'm here to do a specific job. So I had to be flexible. I had to learn what is it that they wanted me to do and make sure I did the best at what I was doing. I'm gonna pause there right quick, make sure we don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions for right now? All
Hey,
right.
Chief,
I'll
I haven't
continue.
seen anything posted in the chat yet.
All right, sounds good. I'll continue. So once I left there, I went out. I was out at 335th. I spent some good time. I spent some good time there at 335th. Did some great things, and then I got selected to go to Waka. Going to that's where I will share with you guys. I met a lot of my challenges, and that was only in the beginning part of really mainly in the beginning part. And the two biggest challenges that I faced there were not. Where my very first challenge was I got passed over for CW4. It rocked my world because all my peers were getting selected for CW4, and I got passed over. And at first, it hit me hard, and where I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was like, "What's really going on?" But then I had to look to internalize it and look at myself and say, "Hey, you must have done something that you must not have done something that you should have done." So I started reaching out and feeling, getting feelers. And there was a couple things that provided feedback as to why I didn't get selected. And I took that and I took that as constructive criticism, and I made some changes. And making those changes, actually, obviously, I got selected for CW4 in the next board, and kept moving forward. And then the second thing that was a big challenge for me was the fact that I was in a different environment at that time. I was in a real different environment going from working tactical at 1st Cav Division and strategic at 335th and everything that I was so used to deploying, doing all of my deployments. Now I'm in this environment where it's labeled creme de la creme, and I didn't think that I belonged in that location. I was like, yo, I need to be back out on the line. I need to be back out with the switches and the routers. I need to be back out getting my boots dusty. But a good buddy of mine that was there, Mr. Scatliff, he pulled me aside. He was a retired sergeant major. He had pulled me aside, and him and I had a good conversation. And he said, Link, he said, you're here for a reason. Whatever God has brought you here for a reason. You interviewed for it. You were selected, so you're here for a reason. And it was just a reminder. It's not something that I didn't already. It was a reminder, because sometimes you need your battle buddies to your left and to your right, and to give you reminders of things that you already know. But sometimes you kind of tend to forget. And after we had that talk, I will tell you, I had a blast at the organization. I had a blast from being just a level PCO, Presidential Communications Officer, from just doing regular trips and traveling, to getting handpicked selected to become one of the Presidential Response Officers, which are one out of the five individuals that across the DoD to only hold that job at a time. To then, doing my time there, and then actually stepping back and going back to kind of help the organization a lot more. And that's when I ended up working for Lieutenant Colonel Geronimo. He was the J3 at that time, and I became his senior warrant officer. So I'll ask that he not share any of my downfalls or any stories from that experience. But we had a good time, and it was great. And then I got selected to go to SecDef Comms. So I will tell you, with that selection to go to SecDef Comms, I did not volunteer for that job. I did not know anything about that job, but I was handpicked and selected to go to that job. And the reason why I was handpicked and selected, and I'll harp on this a little bit more as we talk, is because of the people that I interacted with along my path from Fort Hood, Texas, at 1st Cav Division. I was selected by name and said, hey, this person can fit the gap that you're doing because of his work, not only his personality, but because of his experiences and everything that he's done so far. This will fit the bill. And the bill that I fitted was that they'd never had a warrant officer in that position. And actually, there were 2 civilians that were in that position that ran into some challenges when Secretary Mattis was up there. So actually, Secretary Mattis walked in and he fired a good portion of the staff to include those 2 civilians. So they actually hired on a 06 great officer, Colonel Arvesta Roberson, Rob Roberson. And Rob Roberson told General Lynn at the time, he said, hey, I can't do this without a warrant officer. We don't have a warrant officer up here, and I need a warrant officer up here, because from the Army's perspective, there's some technical things that we need to change, and I need somebody that can not only navigate the technical aspects of it, but I need somebody that can understand the policies and then understand the relationships that need to be built that were not there in order to get the sector of comms where it was to where we needed to be. So it was a funny story. I went up, once I got notified by Colonel Geronimo and the command group saying, hey, Link, we need you to go over there and go talk with Colonel Robinson because you need to go over there and interview. So I did the proper thing. I shot him an email. He took about a day to respond. He said, yeah, sure, come on over. So I went over to the Pentagon, sat down, set up an interview with him, and had a conversation. And Colonel Robinson told me a little bit after. He said, lo and behold to you, you didn't realize it, but you were already hired for the job. I just let you go through your thing of what a warrant officer should do, which is reach out and so forth. I see your question, Marvin. I'll get to your question in a minute. My apologies. Yeah. So with that, he had already hired me because of what people already had mentioned. So I'm gonna jump to Marvin's question. Marvin, he says, Chief, is it possible you can share the changes you made? So don't. Hey, Marvin, can you elaborate on that right quick for me, if you don't mind? Can you come off mic and elaborate? Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, you made a comment. Obviously, it's clear that your career has been a total success, and we admire you. So, but one of the comments you made when you were going through your career is that you were passed over, and but there was something you did that totally changed the path of your career. Some of us sometimes find in the same situation. I just don't know if you can share, if it's personal now, but if not, then if you can share some of those changes that were affecting your career that might be useful for the rest of us. Over.
Oh no, no. I am an open book. Because at the end of the day, the reason why I'm here, I'm open book. So I will tell you, for that board in itself, one of the changes is that say again. One of the things for people that have known me over the years knows that I'm a gym guy. I'm a gym rat. I love to go into the gym. So being deployed in Kuwait, and those of you that have been deployed, period, you know the two key things that outside of doing your regular job to keep you occupied is to go to the gym and education. So education wasn't not a problem. I was kicking out the education. I was going to the gym a little bit too much because again, I'm single with no children. Once I get out of work, I got to relieve the stress somehow. And I don't, I'm not a big video game guy. So I spent the morning and the afternoons in the gym. So with that, I actually gained a lot of weight and continued to lift heavy. So I gained a lot of weight and mixed with that, I chose not to go with the norm. It was around the time when we were transitioning from wearing the greens to the dress blues. I wanted to be that guy saying, look, I'm not getting the dress blues until I really need to. I'm about to go to Kuwait. Work at 335th. What I need to go buy a set of dress blues for to turn around and then have to spend a whole lot of more money to alter them when I get back and all that. I was like, I'll wait till I go. So my last DA photo was in my greens, and we all know those greens don't fit on everybody's body the same. So for me, I went from 215 to 230 pounds of continuously lifting with straight muscle, 230 pounds. I was enjoying it. And I looked fat in my uniform. I looked straight fat and unkept in my uniform because the uniform fit, but it fit tight. And so with that was one of the things when we were using the pictures that, a lot of feedback came back and said, Link, it looked like you was fat. And a lot of people said, we know that you weren't fat because they see me all the time, in whatever conference or what have you, that I'm not a fat guy. I have never been fat in my life. So, but again, that was one thing. And then the other thing that I did not really take time, and again, and Colonel Geronimo alluded to this before, is my OERs. I never took time to really seek out mentorship and understanding on writing OERs. So when I go back and I looked at my OERs, especially on the duty title, I just put my MOS. I just put that I was a signal support system specialist. But that really didn't capture what I did, because every command is actually kind of different, and every OIC is different, and their understanding of how they wanted to use it back at that time. I was a 254 Alpha. So it helped me to having that conversation with someone saying, hey, look at how your OERs are written. This is what it should look like. These are the key things. They didn't give me an OER and say, this is the way it should look like. What it did is the fact that I was able to take a look and actually learn how to write my OERs and have it reflect a whole lot better. So that was in regards to me being passed over. Some of the mistakes that I made that I would definitely tell you is when I was young, I was hard on officers. I was hard on O grades. I'd be like, look, can no O grade tell me anything? Because when I was enlisted, I thought I was a bad tail NCO, and then when I became a warrant officer, I thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. So any O grade, meaning a lieutenant, a captain, a major, come and holler at me, I would try to make sure that, look, check yourself before you talk to me. Which, of course, that's not a good. That wasn't a good mindset back then. But again, I was definitely immature and not understanding how the NCOs, the officers, and the warrant officers all need to work together. And though you may run into some officers that come up with great ideas, it's about how you message to talk with them, how you message to have a conversation with them. My apologies, we got a fire alarm going on here, so my apologies for the noise. How you message that across the board to and it's nothing that I need to react to. It's just an exercise. So I see Louis got a little nervous there. It's just an exercise. We just got notified this morning they were going to do it. So my apologies for the noise in the background. But yeah, can you guys still hear me though?
Roger, Chief.
Yeah, we got you, Chief.
All right. Absolutely, Franco. Absolutely. So, and I know I'm gonna get flack by this from a lot of the people that are close to me to say, Link, what was you doing on that day? But anyway, I set everything off from the network to the fire alarm. So see what happens when you do great things sometimes. But yeah, just the maturity and me growing and helping and being able to communicate with everyone else. So does that answer your question? Does that answer your question, Marvin?
Yes, Chief, absolutely. Thanks for the candid responses. I think we got to pay attention to those areas. Thanks.
All right, not a problem, not a problem. All right, so let me go on. So some of the other things I wanted to bring out to you is you got to be willing to take those assignments outside of your comfort zone. So I would tell you, me going to 335th was outside of my comfort zone at first because I was coming from Okinawa, but I took it and I learned a lot from there. One of the other things is I already shared with you about Waka, and then of course I shared with you about CW5 comms. One of the biggest things was coming here to Network Enterprise Technology Command, NETCOM. Now I understood NETCOM from the 335th standpoint because 335th fell on the NETCOM, but as far as what NETCOM really did, and like I shared with you all, when I shared with you the bird's eye view, I didn't understand it to that aspect until I started doing my homework. And I'm not gonna lie to you, boy. When I found out I was coming to NETCOM to be the Command Chief Warrant Officer, I said, hold on a second. Shouldn't there be like a step up before I go over? You know, say I should get a first step before I get up to the top, you know, the second to the highest level. And I'll show you, and I'll show you when you look at the warrant officers where all the CW5s are placed. Because again, you know, this was brand new to me. But I said, you know what? I'm going there for a reason. I'm going to Fort Huachuca for a reason. So step outside of your comfort zone. And these are just conversations I'm having with myself. Step outside of your comfort zone. And this is what, and you got to do that. So sometimes you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because you never know if you're there to help the organization or the organization is there to help you in growth and in changes. So definitely keep that in mind, okay? And one of the things you got to do is you got to refuse to become complacent and understand that, look, each one of us are easily replaceable. So you're placed in that position for a reason. and you can't allow yourself to become complacent. So those are things that I tell myself every day, and I reach out to fellow warrant officers to the left and right, and I also reach out to those above me, say, hey, am I supporting you the best way that I can support you? And if not, let me know, because I may not know all the answers, but I know someone that knows somebody. I'm like, bro, man, from the 5th floor. Okay, so I can get you what you need, but just reach out to me. Hey, if you don't mind, can we drop to slide 4?
Hey, Chief, you have a question from CW4 Bird.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to see. From who?
Chief Bird.
Hey, Chief McCoy, this is Chief Bird. I just wanted to kind of reiterate some of the stuff you were talking about in regards to like OERs and things of that nature. Just need to make sure everybody realizes those are your records. You know, it's your records, it's your story. So when you're coming up through the ranks and you're getting OERs done, don't settle, for the first write-up. Just make sure that when you're, to let everybody know that when you get your OER, make sure it's correct and make sure it states what you did, because I know I've had a couple OERs written. Some people say they write their own, but I've had them written by somebody else, and when they came to me for review, it was like, that's not what I did. So just to make sure everybody knows that, make sure when you're having an OER done, it's what you did, it's the truth, and don't settle just because maybe you're not sure about reacting to whoever wrote it. That's the first thing. Also, I know I just looked at my ORB from the time, because apparently they just changed systems in doing the ORB. So if you're coming up for a board, make sure you're looking at your ORB. Like the assignments especially, my assignments were all messed up from that changeover. So just, make sure your records are correct, especially if you're coming up through a board, and don't wait till a board, because I know I've had a couple of friends that, somebody was looking for a specific position, like somebody at WACA, they don't wait for a specific PCS time period. They might be looking for a specific person, and they'll go through records looking. So make sure your records are always up to date. So that's just a couple of things I wanted to, nuggets that I wanted to put out there. Over.
Hey, thanks, Charles. I greatly appreciate it. And Mike, I think I see Mike's hands up.
Hey, Chief. Hey, team. Yeah, my hand's raised. I just want to address the same topic, right? So your OERs, you're an advocate for yourself. You should be an advocate for yourself. And when the board looks at your file, that's what they see. They see the performance that you're doing at that current organization, and potentially up to 5 or 6 before that. And so I would encourage you to advocate for yourself with your leaders, both your rater and your senior rater, to have your OER reflect what you think it should reflect, and don't settle for anything less. So that's the first part. The second part is Chief Bird is absolutely correct, right? HRC, to include CW5s, 06s and above, have 100% visibility of your file. They have a commander's dashboard as a W5, and commanders have that same visibility to go in there and look for certain talent and keywords to scope individuals out that may be a good fit for their organization. I know right now HRC is always looking at different things with for Army Futures Command, or different nominative assignments that come up that aren't included inside the AIM talent marketplace. There are still some jobs outside of AIM marketplace, like WACA or some of the special missions jobs, and we are always looking at individual files to see who would be a good fit to fit in those organizations. And I'll leave this last comment here. CW3 Eric Beige and I, the signal desk representatives for the warrant officers, we are an open book. Give us a call, email, AIM message, Teams message. We make time for you guys. We are your advocate, and so we will help you through boards processes, OERs. If you want us to help you review something, we can do that for you before it goes through final revision and signature. And so I just wanted to throw that last piece out there from the HRC perspective is, you are your advocate. HRC is here to help you. And the last thing is W5s are there to help you as well. So please reach out to them for mentorship as well. Thanks.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Link, if I could just jump in there real quick. Hey, We're going to have HRC on this session, but while we have CW5 McCoy's time, I know it's precious. He's dedicating some of his time to us for this morning session. Let's get through his talking points, and we'll address the HRC questions during the Q&A if you guys don't mind. Sorry about that, Link. Go ahead.
No problem, sir. Appreciate it. Hey, Louis, can we let's go to slide 4, please. So this is a key thing. I want you guys to take a look at this really. So the DAPAM 600-3 states what is a warrant officer. So you'll see some key terms in here that I've bolded out. And the reason why I bolded them out, so it does not verbatim say self-aware and adaptive, but I personally, Linc McCoy, now this is Linc McCoy speaking. Linc McCoy feels that you need to place those words in there. The reason why is you need, because again, remember I talked about complacency. You need to be self-aware. You should always be doing a self-assessment check of yourself. That's one thing that I learned coming up from a W1, doing a self-assessment check, saying, what can I do better? You always have to be self-aware. And then again, you got to be honest with yourself. You need to you also got to be honest with yourself, and also have some honest brokers that are part of you. Like I need to be able to reach out to Louis and say, hey, Louis, you know, do you see me doing X, Y, Z? And your friends got to be honest with you. Say, dude, yeah, the way you talked to Colonel Geronimo yesterday, man, you was out of pocket, really. I mean, you had value points, but you're a little bit out of pocket on how you talk to them, because at the end of the day, those are relationships that you're going to build later on down the line, and you definitely need to be careful of that, you know, because I have relationships with people where I was a W01, and now they're 2 stars. Or I was i.e. General Barrett, for instance. I use that for a prime example. It's General Barrett. Everyone knows General Barrett is a NETCOM commander. I knew General Barrett when I was a CW3. I ran into her because she was 160th commander and I was a 335th, and we had nothing but the Dragon Field, or they call it the Dragon Field, or the desert between us. But again, it's just the interaction of 335th supporting 160th, then coming up here, that she was like, wait a minute, I remember when you guys used to help us out. So just keep that in mind, that you always need to be self-aware, and you have to be adaptive. Because again, every organization is different. Every 06 or 05 or GO that you might work for is different. So you have to be adaptive as you go through these different organizations and be able to work through them. So definitely those are the key things I wanted to change. And then another highlighted term, you'll see service members. I changed that from soldiers to service members because, i.e., I was at WACA, I was at CW5. Sometimes that was another big challenge, is changing my mindset from being just strictly tactical, working with nothing but Army, to we're in a joint world now. So you have to be able. We're all, you know, everyone's a service member, so you have to be able to work with the Navy. You got to be able to work with the Air Force. And even now, when we're doing stuff like Zero Trust, we're doing stuff like Microsoft O365 here at NETCOM. We're doing all these big things. We don't just focus on how the Army's doing it. I'm having conferences with the Navy. I'm reaching out to the Navy, said, hey, Navy, how are you doing this? Or hey, here Air Force, how are you doing this? I mean, I just recently had a conference with 1-star General Radke out of the Air Force. He was my commander at WACA, so I reached out to him. He put me in contact with his Air Force, everybody that's on his Air Force team that's working some of the initiatives that we're working. So because you got to understand, a lot of these industries, and as you move forward and work with these industries and vendors and industries, you got to be able to you have to be able to know what your mission partners mean in the Air Force and the Navy. What are they getting? You know, and does any of that stuff provide reciprocity over to the Army to help to make sure that you're saving your organization, saving your boss, you know, money? So I use the terms service members, and of course Army. You know, we look at Army missions, but at the end of the day, we're tied in some which way or form to other individuals. So I'm gonna pause there right quick, and I'll see if there's any questions or anything. All right, I'll continue on. No questions for right now. So with this, I'll give you some more challenges, some challenges that I annotated a couple things, and one of the biggest challenges: who am I as a civilian compared to who am I as professionally? And the reason why that was a challenge, because I have a Caribbean background. I was raised by Caribbean parents, raised in a Caribbean community, and my upbringing and manners and norms that I operate when I take this uniform and I'm around my family, you know, sometimes it tends to conflict with the norms of the military. And how I conduct myself daily. One of the biggest things and it's very simple, minute, but I'll bring it up, is a lot of people, they say, hey, stop calling me sir. Especially some of my fellow warrant officers, I call them sir and ma'am. The reason why I do that is because it's just out of respect. It's just my thing of upbringing. And so it's granted, we're the same rank, but I still respect you as an individual and respect your rank, because I want individuals to know that. And then I also call those that are junior to me, and that's something that I picked up from Waka. I call them sir and ma'am when we're not in uniform. Of course, I address them with their proper rank when need be, but I also just call them sir and ma'am. And they're not used to that if we're not in uniform. But that's because that's the respect that I have for each other, because it's one of the big things that I see, and just in this world in itself, is that we tend to not respect each other, you know, enough. So I'm trying to do my part in making sure that I respect each and every person that I come in contact with, so that way I receive respect from them as well, and then we can move forward. I see something just popped up. Okay, all right, got it. Another challenge is the balance of me being an introvert versus the role that I have to play with networking, socializing with vendors, industry, and other agencies. Well, I'll tell you guys, I'll tell everyone here, I am 100% introvert. I like to reserve my energy and my power for what I need to do. I know that I have X amount of hours throughout the day, and I like to chill to myself. I like to get on my motorcycle and just go for a ride for myself. When I go home, I don't got a whole lot of people at my house. Sometimes I don't even want to answer the telephone. But understanding my role here in NETCOM and all the other positions, I have to engage with vendors. I have to be able to provide the boss when it comes to industry and innovation and services. I have to be able to provide her with insight on what I see about that. So I had to learn how to balance that, and it was a challenge because, again, some of you warrant officers are used to just going into your hole, into your server room, close the door, and just sit in there and do whatever you need to do and rock with that. But again, you have to learn how to balance that, because as you start moving up from a W1 to a CW5, you start moving away from the keyboard and start being a technical advisor. And some of you have that technical advisor in your on your eval. So as a technical advisor, you can't just technical advise from what you think you know. You actually have to go out and pull resources, and some of your resources are coming from the vendors or so forth. So you have to be able to you know, those that may be fellow introverts, you got to step yourself, you got to step out on that. So one of the books that I read was it was The Extroverted Introvert. It was a great book. I may have ad-libbed the title, but basically it spoke to how to be an introvert and live in an extroverted world, and it helped me out a great deal. So so I see a question there. Quentin, you might elaborate on your question?
Yeah. So earlier you did a rundown of kind of your career and the overall shape and opportunities that you had to the point you're at now. With regard to that, and being obviously well aware of the new talent management system, I was wondering if you could elaborate on any similarities or differences, kind of as we're dealing with a different process now.
Say that last part again. You fell out for a second. Say again, the last portion.
So I was wondering if you could maybe outline any type of overlap or similarities or differences with what we're dealing with now with the talent management system in relationship to your career path.
So what I will definitely tell you the differences that I see now is the senior leaders, meaning the senior warrant officers, let me rephrase that, their senior warrant officers actually have great relationships with a lot of the senior leaders across the board. And with that, not to say that your name has to be out there, but what I've seen is that if i.e. Ames 2 pops up, and again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of HRC and Ames and how that process works, but I will tell you this. A senior leader in Ames 2 will look and see who they have on their list to come to their organization, and they may reach out to me, i.e. the North, and I'll say this, he'll probably kick me later, but the Northcom G6, which is Colonel Drew Ferguson. Him and I have known each other he's known me as a W01 when he was a captain and I was a W01. He reached out to me when Ames the process was going through for this last moving cycle, and he said, "Hey, Link, what do you know about these individuals? What can you tell me about these individuals?" And that helped. That only helped me to reach out and try to figure out about the names that I didn't know, but help level set what he's looking for talent management. And again, I had to formulate all of my responses back to him, not saying, "Hey, I know this person because this guy's a great guy," or "I know this young lady because she's a great gal," or anything like that, or great young lady or a great young man. It was more so, this is what I understand they bring to the fight, and these are the individuals that I've seen that I know that worked for them, that I reached out to, and then that helped with the talent management, because you may go to an organization and your eval will say one thing, and a lot of and your
Hey, stand by.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I see that happening a lot more within the organization. And then one of the other things that I would definitely see that I do see the same, and that we have to continue to work on and make it better, is that this information of how the and this forum that we're doing right now is a great opportunity. This information is not really getting out to all the other junior warrant officers, meaning that, there were times when I was a CW3 and CW4, and I was reaching out to CW4s or CW5s at that time. And one of them's on the line right now. I'm not going to call him out, but I would reach out to him all the time, be like, "Hey, bro, why is my name continue to be brought up, or why are people having conversations about me?" But I didn't understand the level of the type of conversations they were having. But again, just being able to feel comfortable and know that, hey, some of the conversations that are being had were for my good, and I just have to be, and the way that my mind works is like, hey, I don't like any conversation to go on about me unless I'm a part of it. So and actually somebody actually just dropped me a good note, is and the note, oh, somebody got a hot mic.
Tim, for tip.
There we go. So now we're able to see. I mean, warrant officers always definitely have to be well informed of everything that's going on. I'm actually going to reach out to a buddy of mine. Hey, Ivory, you on the line?
Yes, Link, I'm on the line.
Okay. Can I? Because you and I were talking recently, and can you share what we talked about in regards to this?
No, sure, Link. The only thing I would add to Quentin's question is, warrant officers, to include yourself, have always had to be talented. We've always had to have be technical experts in our field. We've always had to be there to provide on innovation, emerging technology, as your slide depicts. The one thing that the AIM process, specifically the AIM process has done, is allow that talent to be visible, not just to a few people that know you, but to a greater community, basically the Army. So now you have talent visualization to go with talent, and hopefully talent that's been assessed through your evaluation process. So the changes from before to now is just that, talent visualization, as opposed to just having talent and only have that talent be known by word of mouth. Over.
Hey, thanks. So I only reached out to him because sometimes he tends to articulate what our previous conversation was way better than I can. So I appreciate that. Does that answer your question, quick, sir?
Yeah, I just commented in the chat. I really appreciate that. I mean, the point I'm taking away is the relationships are still key, but now it's a way of, you know, advertising or kind of managing your talent for the sake of selection, and, you know, just putting yourself out there where it didn't necessarily have to be out there in the manner which it is now.
Exactly. Any other questions from the group? All right. So so one of the other things, so where we at now? So let me point out plain text, talking plain text. So us as technical warrant officers, we tend to talk technical a lot. As you guys are moving up, one of the things that I had to learn is not to talk technical so much. Sometimes you gotta break it down plain talk. And prime example is when I worked for the CW5 there were times where I had to go out and brief Secretary Mattis on some things, or a new function that we wanted to use, or if he had a question, and I had to be able to break it down simplest form to him as a leader, saying, "Hey, sir, I'm gonna break it down to you just like you're a 3-year-old, you know. Whereas, why do you need to upgrade from the phone you have to a newer Cisco phone or a newer iPhone? Because it's like using a flip phone, and your nephew is trying to send you a video or something to your flip phone. It's just not going to work. So you just have to learn how to do plain talk. So that was one of my challenges. And then and lastly, in regards to this, I talked about, you know, remembering how to clearly articulate 3 takeaways. Whenever you're briefing, you always have to remember that you got to have takeaways. You got to give to whoever the audience that you're briefing at least 3 takeaways for them to always remember, because they're not going to remember everything that you said, but the three key things that you want them to remember, that you want them to take away. And you got to be able to articulate that clearly, because you don't want them to give you the deer in the headlights there as you're navigating around. So so definitely always remember about the takeaways. All right. So one of the other things I want to kind of slide to is building a professional reputation. So as as Quinta, as the question that was just asked recently, what do I see different between talent management and moving forward? Is that professional reputation. You got to be smart enough to know when to step back from a specific situation, in opposed to being aggressive. There's a lot of times where I navigated myself to where I continue to push through certain situations instead of me stepping back, taking a look at the whole picture, taking a look at how does this affect things 3 to 4 steps ahead, and how to reassess it. And sometimes you just needed to step back and let things work out, not let it work out saying, well, I know they're going to fail, but let it work out so that way you can step back in and assist the team in moving forward. Somebody got a question? All right. Sounds good. All right. One of the other things is with doing that feeds to your professional reputation, because that allows leaders to look at you. That allows leaders to look at you and say, hey, you know how to step back, assess something, and then step back into it and help it for the bigger picture. Another thing that I had to learn from a W1 moving up, and I was bad at this too, is do not internalize your frustrations. Don't internalize them and allow you to be walking around and looking crazy in the face, or your attitude or your body language just starts acting a certain way that people are seeing. Don't internalize some of that stuff. Take it as growth. Take it as, okay, that's our major or that lieutenant colonel, I can't stand when they do X, Y, Z. But you got to step back and say, you know what? What is the reason? And what is the reason? Try to think of it logically. Is what is the reason why they shot me down, or what is the reason why this is occurring? And I'm not gonna say this works. This works all the time, but I will say majority of the time, the things that I've seen is a lot of people tend to include myself, but I had to grow out of it. But a lot of people tend to internalize some of their frustrations, and it doesn't help out. That's why you need to be able to talk across, side, to your left, to your right, or above, and be able to have conversations with people. And then one of the key things, and as you're doing all this, you got to always think to yourself, which leader that you come in contact with would endorse you to take certain jobs or positions. Always remember that, because as you're moving through, you have a plan that is set for yourself, that is set for your family's best interest and where you want to go. But in order to get through that, it doesn't only take yourself, but it also takes some of the leaders that you've worked for when they were young captains and lieutenants or majors that are up there now or across the board, and to include some of the other warrant officers that's going to endorse you to say, hey, yes, because again, before coming to this job, I know that for a fact that General Barrett reached out to some of the other warrant officers that are out, senior warrant officers that are out there, and so forth. So just keep that in mind. So some of those key things that we want to highlight. So hey, can you go to the next slide?
Hey, Chief, can you see it?
Yeah, I think I'm still seeing what is a warrant officer. Are you guys? No, the slide before that one. I'm sorry, the slide right before that one. There we go, that slide. I wanted to bring this slide up to you guys because I just wanted you guys to take a moment and to know there are 36 CW5s in the United States Army right now. 5 of them are retiring. Doesn't matter which 5, but 5 of them are retiring. But I wanted to share this with the team because this shows you at what level each warrant officer, each CW5 is working at, and it helps break down how we're diverse across the board and what the CW5 positions look like. Now, with this, I wanted to share this with you because I didn't know this as a W1, W2, W3, W4. I didn't know this. So I thought it was key for everyone to know, say, hey, if you want to pursue a career at the CIO, at the DAG6, and you want to understand that that's in your career field, you should know who's up there. I mean, of course, everyone knows who's up there right now because Danger's up there. CW5, Will Robinson. But I'm just using that as an example. Or, for instance, you want to go to 7 Sig Command. You want to reach out to CW5 Kathleen Mahoney. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to kind of bring this to your attention right quick. And I see that we're running quick, near on time. So I just wanted to bring this up right quick so you can see the diversity and see where everybody is. I mean, I have a copy of this I can share with you. I know Louis has a copy of this because I shared it with him. So if you like it, don't hesitate to reach out and ask for a copy. So just so you know where everyone is. And if you go to the last slide, Louis.
Hey, Chief, can you see it?
Yeah, it's just taking a second, but it should be. So everyone should be. Yep, there we go. So 3+1 takeaways. I mentioned earlier the 3 takeaways. I added a +1 on there because for a specific reason. The reason why is because when you be yourself in the organization, self-evaluate everything that I shared with you earlier. When you focus on your professional reputation, who would suggest you to take specific jobs, who would be there, who would speak up for you, and then also as you're speaking up for yourself, you also need to remember, what do senior leaders want from warrant officers? And that's back to in reference to the DA PAM that I shared with you. You need to take all of that, and your +1 is to see the big picture. Always see the big picture, because that's what your boss wants you to do, is see the big picture. Not only, yes, you're a foxhole, but see the big picture. And how do you not only sew into the big picture, but how do you help your, those that are working alongside of you, those who are working below you, and those that are working above, some of those that are working above you. How do you help everyone else see the big picture and work towards that goal and making sure you move forward? And one of the last things that I'll leave with you is you learn more from your personal and professional setbacks than from your success. And I'm gonna let that resonate with a few of you as I stand down and answer some questions. Hey, Lou, you see any questions or anything? Let me see. From anyone?
No, I don't, Chief.
Somebody has their hand raised. I can't see who that is.
Chief Brooks,
What's up, sir?
Hey, Chief McCoy, can you just define what success is for you as a W5, coming up as a 255 Alpha and then culminating as a 255 Zulu for the team? Thank you.
Absolutely. So I will caveat that, Mr. Brooks, by saying I was originally a 254, then 255, and then a Zulu. But coming up, success for me was not only making sure that my boss's intent was met, and making sure that my boss got their job completed, but making sure that I helped people across the board to get what they needed. Because again, if you really look at it, breaking it down simplest terms, man, the signal cohort, the signal regiment is customer service. It's a customer service job. We are there to provide communication, customer service to all of the soldiers, to service members, to all of our customers. So being able to do that and being able to help other people to accomplish those missions is success to me. Because if my switching router is up and running, and Chris and Cope is working on his stuff, and his stuff is not working, and we need to talk, and his stuff is not talking, that's not success to me. Because though Cope may be out there at Fort Bragg doing his thing, we still need to be able to ping each other. We still need to make sure those ones and zeros are moving back and forth. And for me to just jump and say, hey, well, my stuff is up and running, I'm just waiting for Chris to get his stuff up and running, that's not a good look. So or anybody across the board. So that, to me, that's success. And knowing that is what has helped me to become a 255 Zulu. People say, well, you're at the top of this food chain now, you 255 Zulu, you CW5. I mean, that's fine and dandy, but if I'm not helping if I'm not helping the regiment, or helping the cohort, or helping those that are left to the right of me or below me or above me, I'm not succeeding at all.
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, there's no further questions. I'm gonna hand it back. Oh yeah, what's up, Mr. Durant?
Hey, Chief. So got a question, because looking at last year's CW5 board, no 255 Sierras were picked up. I was previously an Alpha, now a Sierra. Do we see more 255 Sierras getting to that CW5 level, or are they still gonna, what seems like, target the Alphas and Novembers?
So I'm gonna be straight up honest with you, and I promised that I will not address any HRC questions in regards to that. So can I ask you that you save that one for Mike Brooks and team when it comes, because again, they have from their foxhole, they have a better understanding of view of what where we see as we move forward for that. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks, Chief.
All right, Lou, I don't see any more questions, and I don't see any more hands. But I will definitely tell all of you guys my apologies again about the fire alarm and the slight networking issues we had. But again, I do greatly appreciate each one of you logging on to this today and being able to have conversation. And I will tell you, like I said, I'm an introvert, so this speaking publicly on forums is not one of my forte. So but I'm still working at it. I'm still continuing to do it. But again, I don't shy away from doing it, because at the end of the day, anything that I can do to help someone be my replacement, I'm all about it. And even if it takes me a little bit, or I get nervous, or I get all sweaty, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, this too shall pass. And I saw a hand go up right quick.
Yes, Steve. So I'm sorry, I had some technical difficulties. I was trying to raise my hand. So this is Mr. Kulu. I'm from 7ID. I'm the division Seismo. I had a question. I'm sorry, because you're already closing out. I had a question about development of junior warrant. So one thing that I see in the with the One thing I see with junior officers, when I mean lieutenants and captains and even majors, is the fact that they have that ability to move them, to give them different perspectives on jobs and kind of experience. I don't see the same thing with warrant officers, especially junior one. We tend to do 3 years in this position, then we move up and we do 3 years in another position. And I kind of wanted to see your perspective on that, and how do we get the best of the junior warrant and make sure that they're able to get in all these positions and get the experience they need to be successful later.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm sorry. Really, Louis? Really, I'm not sure where you found that picture at, but but I appreciate it. So to answer your question, so I will say this: you write your OERs. So if you find, and what I tell other warrant officers is, if you find that the job that you're doing for that 3 years, within those 3 years, that hey, I need to learn how to do other things, you got to be able to bring a plan in front of your rater and potentially senior rater, saying, hey, I don't think that I'm being used to the best of my ability, number one, and number two, I don't believe that there's I just need to sit in this position and do X job. There's other things that I need to do, but you need to bring a plan on not only how can you fill the position that's needed, because you're in that position for a required reason. So you say, I can still fill my position in doing X, but also I see that the G5 team needs a little bit of assistance because they're making decisions on a new innovative decisions on new. Louis, I'm gonna need you to stop. I appreciate you, sir. So bringing positions on other things, and with that being said, you need to be able to share that with your rater or senior rater, just saying, hey, the G5 needs some help. Can I go in and assist the G5 with doing X? Because that way I can not only grow myself, but I can help the organization. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Chief, he kind of does, and I understand that point. And I was kind of trying to see if we touch the warrant officer management a little bit, and but not to the HRC point of view, but to the senior warrant type point of view of managing all the warrant officer under a core, for example, and see how we can move maybe people around and give some different flavor, maybe so they can be more successful down the road. Kind of like the lieutenant colonel do with their lieutenants and captains and along those lines, if it makes sense.
No, I got what you're saying. So again, that's another question that we'll definitely have to give to the HRC team when you get a chance to meet with Mike Brooks and Eric Bache, and they'll be able to speak a little bit more on that one. All right.
Acknowledge, Chief. Acknowledge, Chief.
Hey,
All right,
Chief, we have a question from Chief Roman.
Yes. yes, Mr. Roman. So Mr. Roman and I go way back. So Mr. Roman and I went to Mr. Roman. If you see in that picture that Louis is showing right here, Mr. Roman is a handsome young man that's leading the way in the front of everyone. So what's up, Mr. Roman?
I don't think he's able to use his mic, sir.
All right, not a problem.
Hey, hang on, I'm sorry, Blink. I'm very impressed with the success you had in your career, and I'm very proud of you. I'm so glad that you're still around, because I know you got me out a lot of jams before, and I appreciate it. From Compo 2, I have a lot of my senior warrant officers online. Compo 2 wants to be, always hard charging with the regular Army and being part of this great and wonderful experience of being a warrant officer. I got some young ones out there. There's a young man, Brantley. He's very, very smart, 255 Sierra. He just graduated from the pilot course at 255. And we want to be in tune with you guys. We don't want to miss the opportunity. And again, brother, great success.
No, thanks, Roman. Appreciate it. And again, actually, Roman just brought a good topic up. And I will share this as we're moving forward, as one of my last thoughts is that, remember, you got Compo 2 out there. Regardless of whether you're Reserve, National Guard, or active duty, we're all joined. And at the end of the day, especially being up here at NETCOM, we're doing a lot like CSFC and BYOD, those types of things. With the Compo 2 and Compo 3, you definitely need to connect with those guys. And remember, we're all one team. So again, Roman said that that I helped him out a lot. He helped me out a lot, especially when there's some things that I didn't understand from their perspective, to ensure that they communicate, to ensure that they get what they need. We definitely got to make sure we embrace each other and help each other as we move forward. So with that being said, Colonel Geronimo, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak to the team. I'm the only linc.w.mccoy on the enterprise email, unless Taylor Wells decides to throw something else, throw another person in a ghost account on there. But other than that, I'm the only one. So you guys can reach out to me at any given time, anytime you want to. I'm always there to help and assist. And then also, and if I don't have the right answer, I'm either going to point you to the right person or loop you in together to make sure we flatten comms. Okay. So I'll hand it back over to Louis and Colonel Geronimo. And I'm not sure if any of the other CW5s that are on the line have anything to be said or drop in the chat. But I mean, I know that, you know, I've reached out to Ivory, Deshaun Bell, Taylor Wells, a lot of Lorenzo Mosley. I reached out to them a lot to help me along the way as I made it from CW3 all the way up to CW5, and still continue to reach out to them as you see in this meeting. So thanks again. So Louis, that's it. That's all I got for you.
Okay, Chief. Behalf of 790 here and all of us out on JBLM and across the cohort, I want to thank you for your time and for putting this together and showing us, giving us these nuggets of wisdom. Definitely recorded everything here, and I'll push out some notes to the team. So thank you so much from us here, and we look forward to engaging you in the future, Chief.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you. I'll stay on the line if anybody wants to ask any questions, because my next meet is not for another 30 minutes, so I can stay on the line if anybody wants to ask any other questions. Over.
Chief McCoy, this is Chief McQuillan. I just want to say thank you for all your guidance and mentorship for me, especially being at the position I'm in. It's hard going to the top and trying to figure out everything. And I need my fellow warrant officers and especially the seniors that help me out. So I just want to say thank you for your support in this position I'm in at headquarters DAG6. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Not a problem. Always there to support, Mac. Even if we still got to fight through IRF stuff.
They just finished the meeting, by the way.
Cool. Hey, I'm not sure if everyone saw also Taylor Wells dropped a note. So Taylor Wells is up at DISA, and he drops he drops the weekly from the DISA that has some good nuggets, and especially that everything is going on. And I harp on that because sometimes I'll get questions on the side about that from an email. So if you'd like to get those nuggets that from the DISA standpoint from the weeklies, please shoot Mr. Wells a note. There's some good information on there, especially with a lot of the things that we're moving forward towards. Okay. All right. Hey, Louis, I'm gonna drop off now because it seems like everyone's pretty much just gonna hang on. So no other questions. I'll drop off. And again, thanks for all the pictures. You just brought me back down memory lane, which is crazy.
That was from Chief Roman.
Oh, Chief Roman sent those pictures. Oh, all right, sounds good. And what's interesting is out of all of those pictures, I think only 2 of us are still in. They're still in. That's me and Roman. Is that correct? That's right, Roman? I think he's having mic issues again.
Hey, sir, I think James Bourne's still around from California.
Oh, okay. So I guess there's 3 of us that are still around.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, thanks. I appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Chief. We appreciate your time.